Okay, welcome to Introduction Java Programming by White and Yang, 8th edition, Chapter 4 Loops. Problem number 1. Write a program that prompts the user to enter an unspecified number of integers. After reading the integers, the program should then display the number of positive numbers entered, the number of negative numbers entered, and the average. The program should stop after reading the integer 0. So in here, in this exercise, let me start. Since I'm gonna prompt the user to enter integers, I'm gonna first need to import scanner. So java.util.scanner, then declare a scanner object. I'm used to input, new scanner system dot in, and commented as scanner reference to read user input. And not to forget that at the end of every program I need to close the scanner. So input dot close. Okay, so to start, I'm gonna prompt the user to enter an unspecified number of integers. So this exercise involves allowing the user to enter not one but more integers and an unspecified number of integers. So we all know that to allow the user to enter an integer, I'm gonna start by printing enter an integer. So we're used to calling, let me declare an integer variable. So int called x for the time being. So x equal input dot next int, and after that I print x. Enter an integer for x is equal to 4. And if I want to add more than one integer, so let me declare x a b, set a to input dot next int, b equal input dot next int. So let me print them all. X followed by the value of a followed by the value of b. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so in this exercise, I'm gonna need the user to enter an unspecified number of integers. So maybe the user entered 5 integers, maybe the user enters 8. So the program would stop after reading the integer 0. So let's say if the user enters 8 integers, and of course to enter the last integer as 0, the program should allow the scanner to read the 8 integers, and after it reads 0, it should stop. So how do I do that? That's when I use a loop. So let's say I want to use a loop here. I'm gonna start with the basic, which is the while loop. And in this while, it takes a condition. So let me just set it to, okay, first let me print enter an integer, then assign x to input dot next int. Let me remove a and b since I don't need these, and set the condition while x is not equal to 0. Okay, so first I want to make it print out x is equal to the value of x, and after that make it print enter another value of x. And so in here I allow x to be equal to input dot next int. And let me just print here just to show that the program is over. Okay, so this is good. First it would prompt the first value of x. After I enter the value of x, it would print the value of x, then it's gonna ask again to enter another value so that the other value would be assigned to x, and it keeps going until I enter the number 0. That's when the system exits this loop and the program is over. So let's try it. Enter an integer 3, x is 3. Enter another value of x, 5, x is 5. Enter another value of x, 2, x is 2, 0, program is over. Okay, so let's say I entered an unspecified number of integers. So like that, it's gonna work differently. So let me take out this loop, deploy, start by deploying the integers I'm gonna need. So the first integer is gonna be the integer that's read. So read int. Since we saw how loop works, I don't need that. And comment this as integer read by the user. After that, after reading the integers, the program should display the number of positive numbers. Okay, and here I'm gonna start by declaring number of integers. So as the total number of integers, then number of positives and negatives. So int positives, negatives. Number of positive and negative integers. And after that, and average. So double average. Average computed. Okay, to compute the average, I'm gonna need the number of integers, and I'm gonna also need the sum. So the sum of all the integers. So now I can start by prompting the user to enter an unspecified number of integers. So enter integers. The first integer is going to be assigned to readInt, so readInt is equal to input dot next int. So I made the scanner just assign the first integer to readInt before entering the loop, because the loop comes with a condition. Because if I implement this condition and I didn't include this statement, it would give me an error here saying that the variable readInt might not have been initialized. Now I can fix this by just initializing readInt to 0. That will work, the error would go away, and I can go back to how I was. It's the same. Alright, so after reading the integer, first I'm gonna increment the number of integers. So first I should initializing the integers. So number of integers is 0, positives, I'm gonna need it equal to 0, negatives equal to 0, and sum equal to 0. Let me set readInt equal to 0 so that I don't cause any confusion. And just remove this, just this. Let me copy this and place it in here. That's better. So the first step, I initialized the integers to 0. Second, I prompted the user to enter an unspecified number of integers. Oh, so this doesn't work because since readInt is 0, the system wouldn't enter this loop. So I'm gonna need to remove this and allow the system to assign the first integer, input.nextInt. Okay, so readInt would not be equal to 0, so that way it would enter the loop. As soon as the system enters the loop, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to increment the number of integers. So number of integers plus plus. Then proceed to the condition. If the condition is whether readInt is more than 0. If it's more than 0, then positives plus plus incremented by 1. And else I don't need to implement the second condition because obviously if the number is not positive, it's of course negative, less than 0, and of course it's not equal to this, and of course it wouldn't be equal to 0, because that way the system would exit the loop. So obviously else would contribute to the integer being less than 0. So in here I increment negatives by 1. After that, adding the number to the sum, so adding the value to sum, and like that sum using the shorthand operator plus equal read int, and after that's when read the next integer value and assigning it to read int. Read int. So read int is equal to input dot next int. Okay, so as soon read int is assigned to the second integer, that's when the system goes back, checks the condition of whether read int is not equal to 0. So if it's not equal to 0, that's when the loop runs again. Increment number of integer from 1 to 2. Increment either positive or negative depending on the number, and add the value to sum before reading the third integer, and so on until read int is equal to 0. That's when the system exits the loop and the program is over. So let me print an example real quick. Let's say sum is equal to sum before program is over. So let me add 1, 2, 3. What happened here? Oh, I should add 0, so let me run it again. So 1, 2, 3, and 0. The sum is equal to 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to 6. And if I just add 0, because read int is equal to 0, the system would directly neglect this loop block and proceed with the program. So sum is equal to 0 and the program is over. Okay, moving on. So what should I do next? Number of integers and the average. Okay, the program should stop after reading. I should compute the average. Okay, so now space here. So computing the average, and so average, set it equal to sum divided by number of integers, number of integers, like that. Sum divided by number of integer division in floating point context. So if I divide an integer by another integer, it would result to an integer. And I want the value of average as a decimal number, as a double value. So I can just fix this by using a method called explicit casting. So double for sum divided by integer. Like that, I'm just casting the value of sum from int to double before dividing it by number of integers. I can do the same here. For that, cast this from integer to double before dividing them. But it's enough that if I just cast one variable to double, even though it's divided by an integer, it would give the result of a double value. So in here, average is of type double. So as out, if I print the average now, 1, 2, 3, 0, the average is 2.0. The sum is 6, number of integers is 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and it displayed 2.0 because the average is of type double. Okay, so I computed the average. Right now I just have to display the result. So let me comment this and place a comment here, displaying final result. Okay, first let me start with the number of integers using the escape character T for tab, followed by the value of number of integers. Add plus here. I'm gonna use escape character N to induce a line break, and after the line break I display the number of positive integers. So number of positive integers, we should add an escape T by positives plus escape N, number of negative integers, escape T, negatives, then escape N, then the total sum, out, escape T, then the sum, and finally the average. Escape T and the average, and that's basically it. Number of integers, number of positive integers, number of negative integers, the total sum, and the average. So if I run it this time, let me repeat my example. So 1, 2, 3, number of integers 3, number of positive integers 3, 0 negative integers, sum 6, average 2. Let me add some more tabs to make it look better. Here I think should add 5 tabs. That's a lot, but it's okay for now. Just as long as we completed the exercise. So 1, 2, 3, and 0 should add more tab or two? Let's try one. So 1 by 1, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I should add one more. Okay, 2, 8, 7 minus 15 minus 3, 5, 6, 0. Okay, so number of integers 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number of positive integers 5, negative integers 2. Total sum 10, and the average is 1.42857, etc. Okay, so we're done here. And so like that, I would have written the program, or we would have written a program that prompts the user to enter an unspecified number of integers and display the number of integers, positive integers, negative integers, as well as the sum and average. And of course, allow the unspecified number of integers to end with the value of 0.